Hello friends, this is the Central Asian Roads channel. Today is the 13th of April 2024, and we are going to the southern shore of Lake Issyk-Kul. We start recording from the turn to the lake in the village of Orgorchur. It is located 30 kilometers from Kyrgyzstan, at the foot of Mount of Orgorchur. The village looks quite presentable. Now we are passing one of the main public spaces. Here, on the territory of a small park, there is a mosque, playgrounds, sports grounds, and the so-called administrative and public center, Madaniato U. So, today we want to see what the coast looks like after winter, and how the road to the lake has changed. We'll try to drive up to the lake next to the beach of the Marco Polo Hotel. And now we see a great rarity. There is a sign in front of the speed bump. We almost never see such signs in Kyrgyzstan. And look, before the next speed bump there is no such sign anymore. However, at this place you can guess that the bumps are paired, before and after the crosswalk, which children often use. In many other villages, speed bumps are evenly distributed along the entire street. For example, there may be 5 or 6 of them per kilometer, and it can be difficult to guess about them. Some of them are narrow and tall, and are not marked by color in any way. They resemble a narrow pipe covered with asphalt. If such a hump is in the shadow, then it is not visible at all. And on this street there are just exemplary speed bumps, school children on the streets of the village of Orgorchur. More precisely, they are children of middle and high school age. But they don't have backpacks on their shoulders, they don't go to or from school. What are they doing then? They are going to a cleanup day. In Kyrgyzstan, public collective activities are very developed, and it seems that many adults and teenagers participate voluntarily, without coercion. This is probably due to the general way of local life. Many things in the village are much easier to do collectively. People are used to solving some problems themselves, without relying on the authorities. And often we see large groups of people working together in the fields or on the streets. So these teenagers are gathering to put their streets in order. Pastures and farms begin behind the village. Here they are large and clearly active, not abandoned. Maybe it's thanks to them that the village looks so good. School children are also gathering near the farm. Perhaps they will take cleaning tools here and return to the village. It is unlikely that they will be attracted to work on the farm. There are many large farms on these hills. Many families here have their own livestock farms. Sometimes they are located far from home. This is a common practice throughout Kyrgyzstan and other Central Asian countries. In this area, most of the land is also devoted to pasture. Agricultural fields are located on the other side of the highway from which we are driving. It is easier to supply them with water there. But this tractor with a harrow is probably going to Boz-Beshi. Now there is a lot of such equipment on the roads. The preparation of fields for planting is in full swing. We know that people from all over the world are watching us. Tell us, is it legal for tractors with harrows to drive on public roads in your country? Or are they supposed to unhook such devices for the duration of the drive? And what about agricultural machines that, even in their basic configuration, take up more than half the road? Are there special routes or dedicated lanes for them? Our road becomes winding. After all, we are at the foot of the mountains. Yes, Issyk-Kul does not have steep and rocky banks, but at the same time the lake is surrounded by mountains on all sides. They smoothly descend to the lake level 1600 meters. In front of the highest mountains there are lower mountains, then more lower, and so on. And gradually, layer by layer, they turn into foothills. Cities, towns, and main roads were built in these foothills. Some parts of the valley here may be flat, but only very small ones. And in fact, we drive through the hills all the time. Now we go up, then we go down, and we also drive between hills. And here the road reconstruction begins. Look how many detours there are on both sides. A whole net of tracks was laid a long time ago, and not by 1 or 2 cars. Does it turn out that this road has been under repair for many years? Or need repair for a long time? When we were here last summer, it was in the same condition. We remind you that thanks to the high shock absorption of our car and the good stabilization of our video, you will hardly be able to appreciate how wavy the surface is here and how strong the shaking is. This is what the road looks like after being treated with a grader. And we'll tell you honestly, the road to the Juka Gorge, covered in huge gullies, feels softer. For comparison, watch those videos, we published that trip quite recently. Did you see how we just jumped? This was an attempt to go around a large crack on the left. I had to drive up the hill on the right. This is how you have to maneuver. It would seem that there is almost a plain all around, and driving is more extreme than on twisted mountain serpentines. Due to the piles of sand, the already narrow and uneven road becomes extremely narrow. We want to get to the Marco Polo Hotel also because of the road. We have already traveled along this road to another place, and we haven't seen the beach yet. We want to understand, is this beach really worth driving to it along such a bad road? You probably think how strange it is that people go to Lake Issyk-Kul but talk about anything but the lake. We could tell you that this is such a Central Asian tradition. Don't get down to business right away, but go from afar. Like every joke, there is some truth to this. In Asia in general, and in Central Asia too, people avoid many things that people of Western culture are accustomed to. Everything here is somehow not strict, not direct, not clear, not definite. No one is in a hurry, and really in no hurry to get down to business. And Lake Issyk-Kul is so big that we don't even know where to start talking about it. Let's start with geographic information then. The area of Lake Issyk-Kul is 6,236 square kilometers, or 2,408 square miles. It ranks 26th in area among the world's lakes. The greatest depth of the lake is 668 meters, or 2,192 feet. Issyk-Kul is ranked 7th in depth in the world. The water in the lake is salty, or rather brackish. Mineralization is just under 6%. For comparison, the Dead Sea has a salinity of 34%, the Black Sea 18%, and the Caspian Sea 12%. On our own behalf, we can add that the salinity of water, even such a slight one, can be tasted. Thanks to mineralization, the water in Issyk-Kul does not freeze. That is why it was called Warm Lake. In fact, the water on the surface of the lake is quite cool. Average surface water temperatures in July and August are 19 to 20 degrees Celsius or 67 degrees Fahrenheit. Because of this, the swimming season in Issyk-Kul is relatively short, from mid-June to the end of August. In clear weather, the water in Issyk-Kul has a deep blue color. The shores of the lake cannot be called attractive. They mainly consist of sand of a dirty yellow-gray color. The vegetation on the banks is poor and semi-arid. In some places, coastal trees, shrubs and grasses are covered with lush green leaves, but more often they have a dried-out appearance. Although the salinity of the lake water is very low, it is unsuitable for irrigating plants, and the sun on the open shore shines brightly and heats strongly. The plants clearly do not have enough moisture, and like many desert inhabitants, these plants often have thorns. One of the most common plants here is sea buckthorn. If someone has not seen or has forgotten how sea buckthorn grows, we remind you that these bushes and trees are very prickly, and the berries are attached to the branches right between the large and sharp thorns. Collecting sea buckthorn berries is a real challenge. However, it contains many vitamins and is highly valued by the residents of this region. Most likely, they have been accustomed to picking these berries since childhood and know how to do it correctly so as not to hurt themselves. The children of the local villages generally amaze with their abilities. Almost from birth, they possess skills that are completely unusual to our Western eyes. For example, a 3-year-old girl can confidently gallop on an adult horse. How does she hold up? Why does the horse listen to her? Incomprehensible. And in general, young children living in the mountains are well developed physically. They are very dexterous and resilient. We haven't seen it in person yet, but we're sure they're having quite a fast reaction. But we again digress from the story about Lake Issyk-Kul. Arid vegetation covers only that part of the coast that is in close proximity to the water. Already 100 or 200 meters away, lush grass and trees begin to grow. And in some places in Issyk-Kul you can sit on the green grass right at the water's edge. There are few such places, but we will show them to you soon. We probably should have gone around this tooth-crushing road like that truck over there did. It doesn't bounce around like on a washboard. And it certainly travels here all the time and chooses the path that is more convenient. Although other cars drive on the road which is under construction. But this is not the first time they have been here either. In general, there is no obvious pattern. Did you notice the donkeys grazing on the road? Oddly enough, these ill-reputed animals are the least likely to interfere with drivers. They don't create problems at all. This is easy to explain. Firstly, there are very few of them here. Maybe 100 times less than cows. And they don't gather in herds. Therefore, they seem very nice and friendly. Although in Kyrgyzstan we were convinced that donkeys are indeed capable of standing in one place and not moving for a very long time. This is not due to their stubbornness or unwillingness to do something. Finally, the piles of sand are over. It's much nicer without them, although the washboard hasn't gone away. It may seem to you that we are moving smoothly. This is because we are driving very slowly. And you're probably thinking, where is Mount of Orgorcher? After all, we said that the village is located next to the mountain. We drive along it all the time, you see. It is very low, only 2061 meters. And do not forget that we are at an altitude of 1,680 meters now. In addition, the mountain occupies a large area. It's as if smeared over the surface. However, if you climb to the top, you can see Issyk-Kul and the surrounding area from above. By the way, we would like to show you a few places where there are no roads. And there's not even any off-roading there. The car will not get there at all. We'll have to walk. What do you think of it? We passed the sign. The village of Boz-Beshi is 5 kilometers. The Marco Polo Hotel is 7 kilometers. Boz-Beshi is written on this arch. If you are well acquainted with the culture of Central Asia, then you probably understand that the arch is made in the shape of a yurt. The yurt is not just a traditional dwelling for Kyrgyz nomads and shepherds. This is the national symbol of Kyrgyzstan. The lattice crowning the dome of the yurt, tunduk, is depicted on the state flag and is constantly used in national ornaments. The arch decorating the entrance to the village of Boz-Beshi is metal. It was updated quite recently and looks very elegant. Most likely it was painted during the last cleanup day. At the entrance to other villages, concrete arches are often found, but metal ones are also common. Usually they have the name of the village and some Muslim blessing written on them. And the Marco Polo Hotel is mentioned several times on the signs because it is very popular. Not only among tourists, but also among the indigenous residents of Kyrgyzstan. People come there from Bishkek too. The place is not cheap, with a clean beach, sports grounds, treatment, beauty services and various entertainment. Therefore, we really hope that the road will be repaired this year. And it will all become like this area. Why only this part of the road is paved is not very clear. Probably, repairs of the entire road began and were soon interrupted for an indefinite period. This is the reverse side of the Asian tradition which we talked about earlier. Here, not only do they take a long time to get down to business, but sometimes they start too quickly without thinking much about how they will bring it to the end. Did you see how one lamb tried to throw itself under our wheels? What makes cattle graze right on the road is a great mystery. Yes, many adult animals are not afraid of cars. And some young calves are even indignant that the car is driving on the road, and do not want to give in for anything. But foals, lambs and kids are more timid. They start rushing when they see the car, sometimes even seeing or hearing her from afar. As a result, many fall under the wheels. This could easily have been avoided if the herd had simply stayed out of the road. What interests them here, in the dust, when there is clean grass growing nearby and there is lots and lots of space for grazing? Unclear. If any of our viewers understand the behavior of livestock, please explain to us. Well, as we have already said, there are no stone rocky shores near Issyk-Kul, but on some parts of the coastline you can find stone placers, like those we saw in the Juka Gorge. They are also quite picturesque. Such a placer looks especially beautiful in combination with red clay and red lichen covering the stones. Well, we drive on and the road is excellent. And from here you can already see the opposite shore of Lake Issyk-Kul. More precisely, you can see the mountains that are located on the other side of the lake. They start almost from the very shore and gradually become higher. Mountain range on the horizon is Transili Alatau. The height of this ridge is about 4,500 meters. The highest point is Taugar Peak with a height of 4,979 meters. It is now located approximately opposite us. It is less than 100 kilometers away in a straight line. Of these, 35 kilometers are on Lake Issyk-Kul. Moreover, this is one of its bottlenecks. In general, the width of the lake reaches 60 kilometers. Taugar Peak is located in Kazakhstan, near the city of Almaty, and along the mountain range that we see runs the border with Kazakhstan. After the turn, completely different mountains open up to us, the Tursky Alatu Ridge. It also belongs to the northern Tian Shan mountain system and separates Kyrgyzstan from China. And now we have entered the village of Boz-Beshi. There is another sign here. The Marco Polo Hotel is 2 kilometers away. The climb begins, but quite insignificantly. On the southern shore of Issyk-Kul, there are points from where you can see both northern and southern mountains. One of them is located not far from here, a few kilometers to the left. There the coastline curves. It is natural that in such a picturesque place there is another popular resort hotel with a beach. It's called Natalie Resort. Its territory and capacity are much smaller than Marco Polo. However, from the outside it gives the impression of being cozy. This is the place where we traveled last summer, or maybe in May by this road. So we don't want to repeat that journey. Yes, we like the location very much, but it's too unpleasant to reach it till the road has been reconstructed. Thanks to the popularity of both hotels, we'll surely know if the paving gets ready this year. We'd better show you those rocky shores not far from here, where the road comes close to the coastline, near the villages of Barskan and Tosser. Those tall slender trees ahead are silver poplars. There are many of them in Kyrgyzstan and they can reach enormous sizes. The largest poplar in Kyrgyzstan grows just not far from here, in the Issyk-Kul region. Its girth is about 8 meters, and diameter, respectively, more than 2.5 meters. Until recently, entire walls of such poplars grew around Kyrgyzstan and along the roads of the region. Of course, not 2 meters in diameter. However, even trees half a meter thick are very tall, which is impressive. During difficult times for the country, many old large trees were cut down. Alas, since then they have continued to be cut down, albeit on a smaller scale. This winter we ourselves observed how villagers cut down poplars and other trees. There is a catastrophic lack of heat in winter. Problems with electricity are getting worse, coal is becoming more expensive, and there is no gas heating in the Issyk-Kul region. The paradox of the situation is that without these tall and thick trees, cities and villages are deprived of protection from the wind. Since the area is surrounded by mountains, the wind from the gorges can be very strong in winter. People cut down trees to keep warm but end up making it even colder. Now to the left of the road we see rows of pink trees. The apricot orchards are beginning to bloom. There are many of them on the banks of Issyk-Kul. Of course, not as much as in the southern part of the country, but when you drive around the Issyk-Kul region you notice them here and there. During flowering they are very picturesque. Apricot is jokingly called local sakura. In fact, these gardens are beautiful even at the end of May, when there are no flowers and no fruits yet, and during fruiting they are simply magnificent. In our opinion, this is exactly what the Garden of Eden should look like. Last summer we thought that with such an abundance of apricots, they would be sold in all bazaars and stores, in huge quantities and very cheaply. But nothing like that. They are sold quite a bit, along roads or in village streets. As a last resort to one's friends and neighbors, where does the rest of the fruit go? They are sold in bulk for recycling. Jams, compotes and other canned goods made from apricots also cannot be bought in Kyrgyzstan. Most of them are exported. With other fruits, plums or pears is the same story. This is an interesting feature of local production. Please remember us later, we'll tell you a similar thing about mushrooms. However, why not tell it right now? Here in the mountain forests wild mushrooms grow. You can pick them up for free. But locals prefer champignons from China. This is so strange to us, lovers of wild mushrooms. Yes, it's probably better to expand on this topic next time. And guess then, can we buy any meat or milk here? An important correction. We don't know and cannot say what is the situation with fruit in other regions of the country. We just tell about the region we live in, the Issyk-Kul region. The capital of Kyrgyzstan, Bishkek city, is evidently the main customer of the fruit from all the regions. And the largest part of gardening production from Osh, Batkin and other southern regions come to the capital. It is just more profitable for the gardeners. But whether they keep anything for themselves, we don't know yet. By the way, we notice you watch our mountain videos much more than those when we travel to Lake Issyk-Kul. We wonder, why is it so? Maybe because of worse viewpoints around the lake? We picture it just from surface level and it's not as scenic as high-angle view. Is this right? Or maybe mountain roads are more interesting on their own? Or maybe most of you live near Great Lakes? Or even on seashores? And the view of any other lake is not able to impress you? We look forward to hearing from you in the comments. Well, this is where the Hotel Marco Polo is located. In winter, we didn't see it at all. It was impossible to drive up because of the snow. It doesn't look like the hotel has already opened. It's completely deserted and quiet here. Near the hotel, we see another apricot orchard. We wonder if vacationers can pick apricots here? As far as we know, the best way for a tourist on Issyk-Kul to have some fresh apricots or other local fruit and berries is renting a room at a small guest house. The owner surely has a garden or at least some trees and bushes. It turns out that the main entrance is on this side. Road to the entrance is in terrible condition. Could it really have been so much better during the last beach season? Does not look like it. It turns out that vacationers like the hotel so much that they don't pay attention to how inconvenient and unpleasant it is to get to it? Absolutely unclear. On occasion, we will ask those residents of Kyrgyzstan who come here in the summer. In the meantime, let's ask you, those who live in other mountainous regions, how are things going with your roads? Do you know any natural locations in your country that are so attractive that people are willing to get to them along destroyed, worn-out roads? What if a hotel develops and becomes more in demand? Does the road to it improve? And what if new hotels and attractions are built in some place? Is a new road being built for them? And what about you? Will you go to your favorite vacation spot along an old, inconvenient, or unsafe road? What do you think? Is there any connection between an object to see or spend your time in the road you reach that object? Please tell us in the comments. Every other fact about those things we tell here is greatly welcome too. What lakes do you have in your region? What do they look like? What do people like to do on the shores? There is a nice pink house closer to the lake, which also probably becomes a hotel during the swimming season. It's easy to guess that in the summer on the shores of Issyk-Kul, in almost every ordinary house you can rent a room for several days. But there are also many houses built specifically for these purposes. So we got Tash shores. Now we are looking at the lake from the south side. In front of us are the northern mountains and a wild beach. It is better not to go further by car. Please write what you think about this road. And also leave any other comments and ask questions. Subscribe to our channel. Don't forget how it's important to us. We will be back with new videos.